Hey guys, it's Erica here with the Childcare Directors Chair podcast. So happy you are here today. If you're one of the amazing 300 educators who came out to our event last weekend, I am so humbled. Thank you for showing up. We had folks from all over the country: Georgia, Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, California, Texas. Gosh, there were so many places. Louisiana. I can't even think of them all, but y'all came to Rhode Island. And when I say y'all came, y'all came. There was so much love and energy in that room. And I'm not saying this because it was our conference. I'm saying this conference was like no other. The connections and just the way people were just loving on each other and supporting each other. It was like somebody had said to me, it was like coming home. And I was like, wow, that was exactly correct. That was exactly what it felt like. I'm sorry if I'm a little raspy today. For those of you who listen to my podcast on a regular basis, know I have asthma, and it usually only acts up 2 times in the year: fall and spring. And right now it is major pollen season here in Rhode Island. And so it's a little bit raspy. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully it's not distracting. So today I wanted to talk about the power of focusing on others and fueling purpose in leadership in early childhood education. And this is something that's so important because, I've been doing this a really long time and I've always poured into others. And one of the things that really showed up for me last week as an owner, and I'm totally transparent, I do not have everything in life figured out, is, I've spent a lot of time away from my team in the last year, out there just promoting the podcast and speaking at conferences all over the country, which has been honestly a blessing. But my team has suffered a little bit from that because I am such a connected leader and I am an on site owner and I am very active, and they are used to me, checking in on them, regularly. And I have to be honest. It's been a little bit harder to juggle between, also having multiple locations, but a little bit harder to juggle. I'm also getting a little bit older. I'm not quite 26 anymore, as I was when I first entered the field, but, I am truly trying to make every effort to not lose that connection that I have with my team. And there's like 42 folks that work with me. Because I set such a standard for it. And so I'm, sometimes still trying to figure out how do I duplicate that across my location. So, although my slipping back probably is much more than most folks do. So, but I really want to help everybody on my team learn to pour in to each other, especially my admins that are serving in that role as I start to become more of the founder and moving into my next journey of whatever that might look like, but my next journey in ECE as I spend more time abroad. So, I just really thought this was something that I wanted to talk about. And there was this really wonderful quote that I thought that I wanted to share. If you want happiness for an hour, go take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. But if you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. And this is something that I feel that has always been a motto in my life, even before ECE. Focusing on others, whether it's your team, your families, or your children, it isn't just nice leadership. It's transformational leadership. And it energizes you, it unifies your center, and it builds a lasting impact. And that's what I hope to do. I hope to leave a legacy of love, learning, laughter, for anybody who has met me in my lifetime. Here's why I believe focusing on it matters. Number one, it's going to help you find your purpose. Leadership can feel really heavy when it's just about logistics and deadlines or compliance. I really feel like purpose comes when you realize that your role isn't to just do everything, but to elevate everyone. It isn't a to do list, but to elevate. And when you help your teachers grow or a parent finally feels heard, to me, that's purpose in action. You have to really ask yourself, or even tell yourself, not ask yourself, but tell yourself, why am I so tired? And that's really the wrong question. You want to start asking, how can I serve today? Seeing the difference you make in someone else's life will connect you back to your why, and which will help you roll into number 2, which is gain more energy. Focusing on others gives you that momentum. It turns your attention away from that self-doubt, that overwhelm. When we help others, it triggers that positive emotion, whether it's joy, pride, gratitude, and of course, celebrating others' wins. That creates a ripple effect of energy that will go across your whole team. And you know what I'd like you to do too? I love for you, if you're part of our leadership group, after you listen to this episode, I would love for you to toot your own horn. Go on that page and share with us small wins that you've had in your center that have impacted your entire team this week. I'd love to hear that and share it. When you lift others up, they lift you. And it creates a feedback loop of motivation. And that's what I hope to do for you today. It also helps keep you moving through burnout because the focus is no longer just about you. And my favorite of the 3 is it will help you feel contentment. There's some peace in knowing that you've made someone's day better. When you're focusing on others, it helps you zoom out and put daily frustrations into perspective. Contentment comes from impact, not applause. Instead of needing perfection, you start appreciating the process. The process. The process and the progress that you have in others and in yourself. Even if you didn't finish everything, still at the end of the day, you feel fulfilled because you know that you showed up for people. And why it matters specifically for childcare directors is honestly, you shape the emotional climate of your center. Your tone, your attitude, sometimes just your presence sets the mood for the entire building. When you focus on encouraging and supporting others, it becomes contagious. And positivity and support multiplies across classrooms. And if you get really good at it, will multiply across your centers. Your influence that you have on your team culture and retention is undeniable. Staff don't just leave jobs, they leave environments where they feel invisible. When people feel heard, when they feel valued, they stay and they give more. And a supportive leader is the number one reason early childhood professionals stay. As I said at the beginning of the episode, it's great to give your all. And I know there's so many of you out there that do, but you have to create this as a culture because you are one human being. And so if you get sick and you're out, or you need to take personal time out, or you have multiple locations and, sometimes we go through these periods of time where you've got to spend more time at one location than another. If all of the morale and the culture is based on one person, you're going to have a problem when you're gone. So you really have to make sure that you build the whole culture because the culture is all of the people in the building, not just one. So make sure that you're building a positive culture that stays even when you're not present. And you build stronger parent relationships as well. Because parents can tell when leadership cares about the people who care for their children. Focused, supportive leadership builds trust and it builds confidence in your families. And you also need to protect your own mental health. So leading with empathy for others helps fight cynicism and that emotional exhaustion. Giving your energy to lift others is more sustainable than pouring it into control or perfectionism. So ask yourself this. I'm going to take a second and take a sip of tea, and I hope you do the same. Ask yourself, who on your team might feel overlooked right now? When was the last time you encouraged someone without being prompted? Because sometimes they'll be like, hey, look at my bulletin board. Do you love it? They shouldn't have to ask you that. You've got to be plugged in. Now, I know that you're running around with the fire hose, putting out fires daily, but your people is the most important part. So ask yourself, why do I typically feel that the fires need to go out first? And maybe some do, but some don't, because we get really sucked into tasks. So what do I typically focus on during the day? Is it the tasks or the people? I much rather focus on the people who can then help me take care of the tasks. And how do I handle mistakes? Is it with correction or compassion? Because we all make mistakes, including myself. Would I want to be led in the way that I'm leading others? And so that's something that you have to ask yourself. So be reflective. Lots of folks will listen to podcasts or will read a book and will think, oh, that's a great idea. But we really reflect on it and think about how can you make it your own? Ask yourself, am I modeling what I hope to see in my team? Because sometimes we are, and sometimes we're not. Right? Gossip is one of them. Are you gossiping with the other admins on your team about your teachers? But you ask them to not gossip? Now, I know some of you are guilty of it because we're human. But you have to really try to stop that. So, how often do I ask for input or feedback from others? Is another great question. And then ask yourself this, probably the most important question of all of them is, what does success really look like in your leadership role? Is it about being efficient or is it about being impactful? And maybe for you, depending on your personality style, maybe you feel like efficiency is more important. For me, I feel being impactful is more important because the more impact you have, the more efficient you can become. So think about that. Here are some strategies that I think you can focus on daily. First of all, look at your leadership habits because every great team member needs to be greeted by name, maybe have an appreciation note, at least one each week, or maybe leave a sticky note on someone's door celebrating something specific. Like, hey, when I walked by, I noticed you really were paying attention to little Johnny who was just about to scale that shelf, but you made sure he was safe. You want to build recognition into your culture. Weekly staff shout outs, team meetings, bulletin boards, internal newsletters, all those things help. And have your team help again, because if you're one person in charge of, 42 people, multiple buildings, it can be hard for one person to do it all. So make sure that that is part of your culture and get some folks to help you with that. And they usually will love to anyway. Who doesn't love celebrating things? You could do a quote being awesome where you have slips of paper that teachers can give each other. Or even a rotating staff spotlight. We have a board that features fun facts and favorite things about your teachers. And that's just, a couple ideas. I mean, there's millions of books on how to recognize your team. The point is, be intentional about it. Do it often, do it consistent, and do it with love. Now, I would say one of the things that for me, I love to do as a leader and just never have enough time to do is one-on-ones. Even if it's 15 minutes, just to ask how a teacher is really doing. Use those check-ins to ask about their goals, their frustrations, their wins. sometimes I just ask about their family. It doesn't always have to be work centered, especially if they're going through things at home, things that are personal, right? Maybe they just need to know that you're there to support them, or that, maybe you recognize that today might not be a great day for them, and how you're going to step up to support them. Empower your team. Ask for ideas before making big decisions that affect the classroom. Lead your teachers. Let them lead. Lead your teachers, but also let them lead. They can do professional development or lunch and learns for each other, which I absolutely love that idea. And I think that that is something I would like to implement as well. And maybe rotate it so that everybody has an opportunity to do a workshop, even if they're not great at it, because they never get great at it if they don't try. And I think everybody has something valuable that they can share and learn. And the other thing I would say is you're going to probably have, when you ask that, several people who will jump up at the opportunity immediately. So make sure that you recognize that when people take initiative and name the impact on that. Like, Susie, I really love that you were the first one to sign up to do a lunch and learn with the team. I really appreciate that. Um, your coworkers love your energy, and I'm sure they're going to be so excited about what you're bringing to the table. And then serve in small ways. So step into the classroom, give someone a 10-minute break, or maybe do a coffee Monday with snacks or a pizza Friday. Don't forget to celebrate those birthdays. Oh my God, I'm so bad with dates. Anniversaries, same thing. If you have an HR team, hopefully an HR team is on that. If not, maybe you get someone within your company to maybe be the sunshine person, because if not, it really does stink when you forget one person's birthday and then the next week someone else has a birthday and they get a cake and a card and all the things. That's a real great way to make people feel crummy. And I have to tell you right now, guilty as charged. That has happened to me multiple times in my career because, again, I am not good with dates. I am not that girl for that job. Um, so just make sure that we are getting the right people in the right seats to help you do the things that really are important to get done. So I'm going to give you a few things that you can use to get started, okay? So here are some simple people-focused goals that you can put out. Write this down. I will give at least 3 personalized shout outs each week. I will host a monthly coffee with the director chat where you can get feedback and support. I will ask one staff member each week what their career goals are and how I can help. I just had, I just had a group of girls that just went through, I should say ladies, really, a group of ladies who just got their CDA together. I think we have 4 of them, and we have 4 new folks coming up the ladder who will be working on their CDA. And I'm really proud of that. And that's something I personally help them through the process. I help them with their portfolios. I help make sure that they got additional time out of their classrooms to complete the PD that they needed. And that was intentional. And a group effort, but I led the charge on that for sure. And I'm proud of that. Ask yourself, can I walk through the building 10 minutes a day with no agenda? Just connecting with your team. Because I feel like that is going to be really impactful. They need to see you. They need to know you care. They need to know you're there. How do you know you're achieving it? Well, teachers approach you for help, not just approval. You will definitely hear more laughter in the staff room and less complaining. Staff start to recognize each other more without prompting, and retention improves and burnout slows down. And you go home tired, but proud. But proud. You know when you're plugged in. Now, like I said, earlier, I am not perfect. And you will hit some bumps in the road. I hit some last week. I had spent so much time working on my conference, working on, other side projects that I haven't got to connect as much as my team was used to. And so when that happens, because we know leadership gets tough, you're going to have moments where you might feel like your team feels disconnected, or they might say things like, we miss how it used to be, or people feel unsupported or overlooked. It's normal. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means that you need to put more time and lean in even more. You have to really acknowledge it too. Acknowledge the shift honestly. Don't ignore the elephant in the room. I know the past few weeks have been difficult. I've been adjusting to. I want to acknowledge that. Let people see your humility. It's not just about authority. I have no problem saying, hey guys, I'm sorry that we dropped the ball there. Ask and listen deeply. Hold those one-on-ones or small group check-ins and ask, like, what's been hard for you lately? What do you miss? And what's one thing you'd like to see brought back or can be improved? And just listen. Let people talk without jumping in to fix or defend it. Because again, guilty as charged. I am a fixer. I always want to fix everything. I didn't necessarily feel the need to defend because I felt like some of the things were pretty accurate. And so, you just got to do better. When you do this, I think it's going to help you reconnect with your shared purpose. Bring the conversation back to the mission, the kids, the families, the staff, the bigger picture. You can say, we might not go back to how things were, but we can build something even stronger together. And be vulnerable about your own journey and your leadership growth, because I am in a different place than I was 10 years ago in my own leadership and my own goals professionally. So I think it's important too to also share that with your team. And I know some folks that are listening now, especially my seasoned owners and directors. I've talked to many of you, and some of you are going into a different season in your life, and that's okay too. So own that, right? Own that. But understand it is going to impact your team. And you want to make sure that somebody is going to continue to pour into them and that you're going to continue to pour into your leadership who is holding your business together. So I'd love for you to implement, one or two of the ideas that your team suggests and tell them that you're doing it. So maybe something like, here's what I heard. Here's what I'm doing about it. And people trust what they see, not just what they hear. So put it into actions. You can also create new traditions because when you have team members that are coming in and they're new and you have older team members, when I say older, I mean like just have been there a long time, which if you're great at retention, you will have a lot of folks that have been with you a long time. You want the new people to also feel included and not like, oh, well, I'm not part of that clique. I hate to say that word, but not part of that clique. So create some new traditions, like what made the old way so special, and then rebuild it in a new way. And some ideas could be weekly staff breakfast or a theme day, monthly shout out wall, or a Friday checkout gratitude circle. How about the end of the week? Tell me one thing that really went great this week. Because again, we can focus on what didn't go so great. You want to rebuild that trust with consistency. Keep showing up, even if you don't get instant results. Consistency is what rebuilds confidence in your leadership. Small acts, repeated, become the foundation of trust. So I'd like to say a few words as we come to a close here. You become a better leader when you make a difference. And the best way to do that is by investing in your people. Every moment you spend encouraging, listening, celebrating, or simply being present is not extra work. It is the work. And remember, if you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. Keep leading. So I hope you loved today's episode. If you did, please let us know. Join our email list. You can join our community. You'll get discounts, freebies, and access to membership perks. So don't forget to visit us at the Childcare Directors Chair.com. Is that it? ChildcareDirectorsChair.com. Yeah. Had to think for a minute. Go to our website, join our email list. I would love to have you join our community. And thank you as always for tuning in. Remember, it's the small details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business.